Good morning and welcome back. It is 6:30. The truck is packed and I'm about to go for a long drive, go meet up with Alex and Jake, and we're gonna go throw a whole bunch of chum in the water and see what happens out there. Going to a spot we haven't been to in a very long time, but I'm coming well prepared. We're camping tonight. We're planning on lobster diving if the weather holds. Got my 3-prong, got whole bunch of chum, get a big old bag of ice that I saved, rinse water, all the gear's in tune, got my camping gear, we're ready to roll. Let's go. Shoot. Episode, you know, this is my magical cacao mixture. I want to express how important it is to finish this about an hour before you get in the water, or you're likely to have a really bad day, because every time you invert yourself on your duck dive, this comes straight up your esophagus and it will make you sick. So important to note. So crazy, this is one of the brightest rainbows I've ever seen, and it is just following me around this whole drive. You! And there it is again. It just won't go away. Look at that. That rainbow still following me. What is up? And here we go, finally in the water. Gonna load that gun and we'll see what happens out here today. It's been a little bit blown out, so that storm just passed us, left us with a lot of murk. So we're swimming out, but we start to see a bunch of opelucala, which is a really good sign for today. And I'm ready for my first drop because it looks pretty fishy. I'm gonna go see what's down there. So I usually try to aim for a spot that's in the sand that's next to some coral. So I throw a plume up to get the moo interested and to mask me a little bit. And there they are, they're already here. They're not huge, but they're big enough to shoot. So I'm gonna close the gap a little bit, take kind of a far shot on this guy, and get my first fish of the day on my first drop. What's up? So I'm just gonna go make sure he doesn't get tangled in the coral and head back up.
What's up? First drop of the day.
And because it's a pretty fishy spot, Jake heads down for his first drop of the day. And he lines up on this fish, pulls his trigger, heads back up, and he's got a munu for his first drop of the day too. We're off to a great start.
Good fish for first drops of the day. All right, that's good.
Now I head down for my very next drop, second drop of the day, because there were some bigger moo that started moving in. And currently Alex is swimming towards us from the shore. He was a little bit late, but I'm looking for these moo. I know they're out here. I feel like I got a pretty good spot to hide. I'm looking around and they're behind me now. So I got to move my gun very slowly. I'll spin the gun behind me first and I'll roll onto my back. Kick my fins behind me. And I'm going to crawl across the reef here very slowly, trying to keep my head down. I'm looking for a handhold on my left. These are much bigger moo, probably 3 to 5 pounds, and there's a lot of them. They're very curious, but that's as close as he's going to get now. It's still early on, so I don't have much of a breath hold, so I take a long lunge and a far shot, and I hit him just a little bit high, and he comes off. And I even went down for a recon mission, but I couldn't find him.
Big one. Hit him. Big one.
And now this is Alex's first drop of the day. He went down to look for Jake's shaft that ripped off on a big fish that he shot, and he comes up with a nice uku, and I put a shot in the gill plate to back him up.
I find a spear, but I did find a... You found an uku? That's a good find. That's a nice one too. What? Hey, your first drop of the day? Yeah. All three of us got fish on our first drop. Not an uku though. What's up, dog? Hey. Oh! You find her shaft? We all use some old time with our shaft. But Jake is the master of losing things and then finding them.
Hey, you lost my fish.
Fair enough.
And now we're gonna dig into that enormous bag of chum and see if it brings anything in. And because our first spot was so fishy, we figured, what's it gonna be like if we go even deeper? But we broke the cardinal rule, never leave fish to find fish. This was a mistake. But the whales are louder out here, and that's always super cool. Look behind me, nothing. So I'm gonna head back up, and we're gonna change spots again. So after a little bit of a swim, we changed locations, and it is much fishier. A bunch of opalocala come in, and I do love opalocala, but today I'm only gonna take a monster. I wanna find that huge one, and I just am not seeing them in here. So I'm just gonna enjoy the view and let these guys go and see what happens on the next one. And look at that big friendly shark coming in to check out our flasher line. He actually got attracted by the chum that we brought, which is being carried away from us by the current. So we'll see how we manage this guy today. So then we head him out a little bit deeper in about the 20-meter zone. I'm going to take a drop out here because I like the way the structure looks. And we see some shadows down there. I can't tell what they are, but I am looking for those moves today. So I find the sandy spot right next to some structure, and I throw a plume up as usual. And I'm going to take a gentle look around, and I'm not seeing anything. I'm a little disappointed. There's some fish behind there. I want to look behind me first, but nothing. So maybe this was a mistake. Maybe we're in the wrong spot. I'm ready to head up, but then I see all the moo on the other side of the structure. I just landed on the wrong side of this, and I don't really have the breath hold right now or the focus to go hunt them, but I'm getting an idea of what they're doing, how they're behaving, and what they might be interested in, and try them again. But then our friend shows back up just to keep us on our toes. So now on my next drop, I'm feeling a lot more confident about what I'm doing with these moo, where they are, and where to land. So I changed locations a little bit to get a better angle on them. I throw a plume up. I try to keep my head down. I feel really good about this spot. I'm in a really great spot where I can see everything, but I'm also really hidden, and the moo come in right away, and that's a nice size one right there. And I know there are more behind them, so I'm going to very gently try to sneak up on them and see if I can get a lunge and pull. There's a few more in the background. They're all pretty big. They're pretty curious. So I'm playing the game with them, looking around. It's much fishier here. And then the shadow comes in. It's a nice size omilu. And I love omilu. He gives me the right shot, and I gotta take him. But because the shark's out there, I gotta make sure that I get him off the reef all at once. If he gets tangled, he won't be there when I come back. So I get him off the reef, the shark goes for him, and I'm pulling on the line pretty hard to make sure that the shark can't get a hold of him. So I'm also trying to kick for the surface as fast as I can without wearing myself out too much. And it's kind of a close one there, but pulling on that line keeps it away from his mouth, and we end up getting him. Whew.
Oh, that was close.
Yeah, I saw that guy following the shark around.
Yeah, he almost got him. Oh, keep an eye on him, man. He's getting aggressive.
And now all the action is making him even more curious, and a second one shows up, and they're both pretty big and a little too friendly. So we have to keep our eye on them constantly. They're coming pretty close. They're not afraid of us. A little annoying, a little distracting, but it's just the way it goes out here some days. And this is just another reason to dive with partners that you trust and know what they're doing, because between me and Jake, we can keep them away from us. But we're still taking drops intermittently, and Jake comes up with a huge poo.
Look at the size of that.
Wow, look at that thing.
Got somebody home.
Yeah, super cool.
That was like a construction helmet.
Yeah, that's like World War II helmet.
But because it's occupied, Jake swims back down and puts it safely back home. So we're trying to get a little reprieve from the sharks a bit, and we found that they tend to leave us alone more when we're in the shallows. So we're back in about the mid-40s here, and there's still plenty of fish around. They're not quite as big. There's some really nice veques there I thought about shooting, but I don't feel like cleaning veke later. So I'm going to let those guys go because I want to get those moo that are in the background. A couple tiny moana collies. But I'm going to try to sneak up on this moo. I'm committed. So I'm going to creep across the reef a little bit and close the gap. Look for some good handholds. Make sure I don't spook them. But I've been laying in the sand here. And I got some sand in the flopper. So when I take this shot here, the flopper doesn't close against the shaft and it shoots the shaft up and over the fish. So mistake there, learning stuff, moving on. So I head back down to try him again after I fix my flopper. But this guy just comes cruising right in at me. And he's really mellow and he's super cool looking, but I'm trying to hunt here, buddy, and you're really not helping me at all. You're not helping either of us. You're spooking all the fish. And I know we're really interesting to check out and everything, man, but leave us alone, please. I look behind me, there's a bunch of fish. There's that moo again. I think about turning around and go try to chase him down, but then that other shark shows up. So I got both of them on me right now. I can't concentrate, so I'm gonna head back up. And because we're kind of in the shallower zone right now, Jake grabbed his 3-prong and he just wants to go pick up a couple fry fish, some tape's, some invasives. So he grabs one right there, comes up. We'll eat that guy later on that beach. And I'm only showing a small fraction of the dives that we did this whole day, but just showing that the sharks were around us all the time, whether we're diving 40 feet or 70 feet or what structure, what fish were around. They're just there relentlessly. Our good old friends. But if I'm being honest, we are having a really good time out here. And while sharks can be a little annoying and pretty dangerous, they are super cool and they're always great to be around. They're amazing creatures. But now we have 3 of them, so we have to be extra careful. So now we head them out a little bit deeper again. And I'm back to hunting moo. We've been out here for a couple hours now. We really don't have that much fish, so we're really trying to feed a party full of people on a beach and still take fish home with us, but we're just way too distracted with how much shark life there is out here. They just love hanging out with us. They're just waiting for us to make a mistake. Shoot a fish, have it get tangled in the reef, don't get it up in time, and they're going to capitalize on it. And they know if they work together, they have a much better chance of getting a fish from us. And look at all those moo in the distance. But the sharks are just not going to let us have them. And they're coming closer and closer, no matter how many times we poke them and swim at them. But they're not coming at us, which is good. And they're not going for our chum bag, just the chum that's in the water. Really, it was kind of a mistake to bring some chum today because it wasn't doing anything but bringing the sharks in. But we're just going to enjoy the view. We're having a really good time out here anyway. And it's pretty cool footage. But at this point, it would be kind of nice to get a little bit of a break from them because it's really distracting and they're not intimidated by that gun at all. Now we head them out a little bit deeper again, and fortunately, even with all the shark activity around, the fish don't seem to be too bothered by it, and that big school of Opelocala comes back, and while they're pretty decent size and they're definitely big enough to shoot, I don't see the monster that I'm looking for, so I bail. But I do find this spot about the deepest we've been today, and it's got really good structure. It's holding a lot of good fish. I throw some sand up, and I had a really good breathe up this time, so I have a good breath hold. I'm going to keep the gun and the fins flat and keep my head down and just be patient and see if I can get those moo to come in. And while my camera is angled down a little bit too much, there is a nice little school of monocollies that comes in, and the first one's a really big one. He gives me the shot I'm looking for. I give him a good tap, and he heads for the reef. I can't get him tangled because that shark will grab him, so I have to run over to him real quick, claim dominance, and say, that one's mine, get him in my hands, and head for the surface before the shark grabs him.
Thanks, dog.
It just always impresses me how pretty they are. No, we're starting to get pretty over it. We've been out here all day. We're getting pretty tired, dropping kind of deep. So I'm heading down for one more, and I really want to get one of these big fat moo we went after all day. So I settle into the same spot as before. It's really fishy, got good coverage. I throw some sand up, and the moos come straight in. But in the meantime, this uku comes in, and I'll take an uku over a moo any day. especially when he gives me an easy shot like that and he takes off and runs, which is not a good thing because he's trying to get tangled and rip himself off, and it attracts the shark's attention. So I'm trying to head for the surface quickly while keeping him off the reef, and I start pulling him up fast. The shark gets a hold of him. I rip him out of his mouth. Jake goes down, starts poking sharks away from the fish and away from my fins, and it is chaos for a second. But we end up getting him.
Oh, thanks, man. That was wild. Oh, all three of them, man. I thought it was gone.
Oh, yeah.
And they're still circling our fins, but we had enough. We are gonna head on out of here. Look at the teeth marks in that thing and how quick that happened. And I run into a Portuguese man of war on the way back in. I'm gonna film him, but I am not gonna touch him. Look how cool he is. Beautiful. And someone screwed this eyelet to this golf ball as a sinker, but I'm gonna take it off the reef. And this is how we spent the rest of the day, chilling, paddleboarding, eating, hanging out, and relaxing because we have quite a night ahead of us. All right, this is everybody's favorite part of lobster diving. Getting the cold, clammy, stinky wetsuit on when you're ready for bed. But instead, we're gonna jump in to the pitch black ocean in the middle of the night and try to catch some bugs. Excuse me. We are going to catch bugs. We're not going to try.
We are catching bugs.
We are catching bugs.
Present
There we go.
tense manifestation.
We're manifesting. There we go. Okay. We did it with a mild to moderate amount of complaining, but we're ready to go. It's almost a full moon, which isn't always the best, but the water's pretty calm and we're pretty stoked. Let's go get some.
We had some aliens in our pants in the middle of the night. It was dark, aqueous water. This is normal.
Jump in the ocean at midnight. What else are you gonna do with your weekend?
And without further ado, we're back out there, run into this fat vecke right away and find some rubbish. I'm gonna pick that up. I'm gonna put it in my lobster bag because that does not need to be on the reef. We're gonna take that out of there. And it is super cool to hear the whales at night. I've never heard them at night before, but they're out here and it's pretty enchanting. I love it. And I come across this little tiny baby sleeping eel. So cute. Just don't put your hand anywhere near it. And we've been out here for a while now and we're not seeing any bugs really. And I finally find this really big one. I had to go up for a breathe up and I come back down and he's way back in the bottom of that crack, and I squish him into the corner, get a hold of him, and I hit my head on the ceiling. It shuts my camera off, and I managed to get it back on as I got him into the bag. So I got my one. It's Megan's favorite food, so I'm gonna take that home for her. But unfortunately I did run into a lot of fauna, so I have sea urchin spines all up my wetsuit and in my arm.
I think you found
I think it was a conger eel. It looks like a fish eel.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it.
Okay.
It looks so edible.
Okay, yeah, the conger eel are really good.
To shoot it.
So we're going to do a swim through in this cave looking for that conger eel, which is what unagi is. And Alex is in front of me and Jake is behind me, which in my dreams I get very claustrophobic about. I have nightmares about this stuff all the time, but in real life it doesn't seem to bother me that much, but it is a little bit spooky doing a swim through in the middle of the night, but it was super fun. But we did not find that conger eel, unfortunately. Hopefully next time.
That's fun.
So after that, Alex did grab a really big buck and he headed in. So me and Jake are out here still. We found a really fat one in that hole, but it ended up being female, so we let her go. And then we come across the 7-Eleven crab, which some people love, we don't. Just wanted to film them and move on. And then on our way in, we find these 2 ika, some squid. So I grabbed Jake's 3-prong. I went down, I grabbed one of them. Make sure I got them. Got him on the end of the spear, and we keep the lights on the other one so we don't lose him. He's a little delayed on his reaction here, but he ends up inking and taking off. right there. So I'm trying to get the Ika off the spear without losing them as we're chasing this one down, and we just go for a ride here. So all in fast motion. We ended up chasing him down for 4 or 5 minutes before we finally caught up with him. But this was a really fun chase for a little while. Just trying to keep our lights on him without spooking him too bad. He's going deeper and deeper, and we are having a pretty tough time keeping up with him and hoping he doesn't take off. But finally, he slows down a little bit, just enough for Jake to take a dive down with his 3-prong. He gets right on top of him and puts a real clean shot into him and stones him dead right through the brain. Comes up with him. Super stoked about that. That's Jake's first Ika. It's a pretty nice size one. Yassa.
Good boy. Woo! Stoned him.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that was a chase, huh?
That was a chase.
That was awesome.
Oh,
look at that. Woo!
All right, mission success.
2 for 1. It's a good size, too.
Yeah.
Stoned him after all that. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And we stick them on Jake's homemade butter knife cooey, and we swim them in because we've had plenty of water time for today. We're about to go to bed.
All right, that's a success. I am happy now. All right, that's our exit.
So you want to get on film?
Get that, pull that meat out of that tail.
I just like the sound.
Hey, you guys want some ASMR? Little SPG. That's all it needs.
SPG,
Keep
baby.
it simple, dog. Oh.
Little hands for your mouth.
They're awesome.
All right, I did it. I'm home. Now, time to clean up. All right, look at that. Ika. Pretty simple. We're just gonna take the head and we're gonna pull it away from the body. We're gonna take all these guts out. All that just comes right out like that. And then there's that feather that everybody talks about, which is actually kind of like their spine. Pretty cool. I believe that's made of chitin. But I always found it's a little bit tough and rubbery, so I just take it off. Just gonna kind of claw that skin away. Eventually it'll break free. And that comes right off like that. And that is your calamari tube. And these are the tentacles, so we don't need to eat the beak or the eyes. We can cut it about right there. And just like an octopus, a taco, we're gonna take that beak out. That's it. Those are the tentacles. We can deep fry those and eat those. And we have that calamari hood. That's it. Done with that. The rest of this goes in the chum bag. Look at those eyes. Look how cool that is. Beautiful. All right. Want some more? Yeah, you like being up high. Good girl. Yeah. Good girl. Second big Moana Kali, 2 dive sessions in a row. Such a beautiful fish. Lucky when they get that big.
All right, so we're gonna keep this pretty simple, but I got a pretty fun idea that I came up with on the drive back. I've seen something similar done before, but I wanna try something a little bit different. So pretty easy. We're just gonna put that lobster in a Pyrex glass dish, cover it with foil. We're gonna bake it at 400 for about 35 minutes, and we'll go from there. All right. I'm pulling it a little bit early. It's been a half hour because we don't want it cooked all the way. All right, we're gonna throw this on ice, or in an ice bath. All right, so we just gotta chop that guy up. We'll take all the meat out of the tail, and we're gonna mince it up. All right, we got all that minced up in here. Now, we'll go get some green onion.
Yeah. Oh yeah? Hi.
All right, we're gonna chop that up. And we got a couple cloves of garlic from Dad's garden. Thanks, Dad. Just gonna toss all these in there with that lobster tail. A small scoop of mayonnaise. Hard butter from the fridge, so we're gonna grate it. Don't need very much. We're gonna add some cheese. We're using Lonster, but you use whatever you want to. This is what we have right now. And per usual, we'll add some garlic salt, some black pepper, and some cayenne, of course. We like it spicier, so we're gonna use a lot of it. Mix that together. All right, now the fun part. We're gonna take all that lobster roll and we're gonna stuff it in that Ika, in that squid tube. I'm gonna pack that nice and full. A little bit at a time. It gets all the way to the end. Don't overfill it, so because we don't want to split this. We want to pack it nice and tight. I'm making this up as I go, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. All right. Okay, so we have some rice paper for making spring rolls. I'm gonna place that right in the middle. Roll up the ends. And roll it. Make sure that's nice and secure on both ends. Just like that. Beautiful. Now that's all tied together. I use organic peanut oil for this one. Usually I use avocado, but I'm out and I love peanut. I think it would be a really good addition for this. So this won't fit in a normal fryer, so we're gonna go with a little bit bigger pan. And we're gonna use a generous amount because we want to kind of mimic deep frying. About that. Sprinkle garlic salt. Some cornstarch. To keep it dry so it doesn't splatter when it hits the fryer. It makes it nice and crispy. So we're just gonna wait for that fryer to heat up. It's just about to its smoke point, nice and hot. We're gonna very carefully throw this whole thing in there. Oh yeah, there we go. It's been a few minutes on that side. We're gonna give it a roll. Oh yeah. We'll roll them on the sides. Make sure we get all sides of it covered. A couple more minutes on this side, then we'll do the last side, and we'll see how it goes. All right, one more flip. Okay, a couple more minutes, and we're all power here. Okay, we'll let that cool for a minute. So I didn't really have a plan as far as how to cut it, so I think the best thing I can do is put it on the chopping block and use my sharp knife and see how that goes. Tiny piece. All right, let's try that. First one. Oh yeah. It's not even fair. Lobster roll, fried calamari. That's the best. Oh man. Would you like to try some?
How hot is it?
Not that hot.
No?
It's cooled down a bit. Good? Megan does not want to be on camera today, but it's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah? All right. We're going to chop the rest of this up. Thank you guys so much for watching. That was a really fun one. Catch you next time. You!